Welcome friends! It's a new day here in 7 Days to Die Alpha 20 experimental phase, and we actually got 2 updates in actually quite a short time, just a couple of days. I'm gonna sort of consolidate both of them and go through both of them in one go because, well, why would you want to have 2 videos when it's actually one big release and one fairly small one? So let's start taking a look. First to start off with this morning is that we're going to look at, we're in B219, so that's going to be the latest one that I'm going to go through, but the first one that they had is this one, which has a bunch of fixes, and that's the larger one, and it's the B219 to B231. So what have they done here? Well, they've added a couple of PUIs. You see City Center, Tier 4, all Giddy and Brother, Ad Agency PUI, actually... Oh, it's just one. Sorry, I thought it was 2. One PUI at Tier 4. That's going to be interesting. You would have to regenerate the map if you want to see it, though. Hell Candle, light visibility. Maybe they've increased it. I don't know if how they've changed it. They should have. I wish they would say that, hey, they've increased it or something. Vote required. This is for Twitch integration. Oh, it got really dark there. Random pitch support to sounds played at the position or in the head. Okay, I guess just added things. You're gonna hear and see some of these changes, but it's gonna be really hard to specifically link them to something else in the past. But let's have a look at one really big thing. A lot of players noticed that they were putting blocks down and they were having infinite amounts of blocks. The reason being is that they had linked this to being in cheat mode. So even though you were in cheat mode, even though you were not in creative mode, you would basically be duplicating everything. And that was really weird because I can see them doing that when you are in creative mode, meaning that you've gone into the console and hit CM, but now it's linked to being in cheat mode. So if you started a single player, you had cheat mode enabled, even if you weren't using it, you would have the infinite block. So they removed that, which I think makes sense. Now, they've done some changes to the food crafting ingredients and the loot counts, which is fine. Iron bars are now upgradable. Iron bars now upgrade to concrete? What? Why do our iron bars upgrade to concrete? Shouldn't they upgrade to steel? Isn't that a way back? Alright, fine. Increased player held visibility will darken? Maybe that's got to do with the candlelight. They've lowered the VRAM requirement to 3 GB. This is something that they continually keep on tweaking. They don't want to go too high on the VRAM. This got to do with the GPU. If you go too high, then it causes problems for at least older GPUs out there. Another big change is that living off the land level 2, and this was a problem before because level 2 had very little, but now it has a 50% chance to harvest 1 additional crop. I think this is good. I still don't think this is enough to make farming worthwhile again. I think that we still have the problem with having to remake the seeds and recraft everything and then replant them, which is really annoying as well. They have changed some things as the wording, increased the sound clip randomness. Now they've actually increased the speed of scrapping things. I think this is good. We end up scrapping a lot of stuff and having to spend a lot of time with it. It's just painful because you fill up that crafting or scrapping queue and then you can't do anything for a while. Another really good way of another good change is that rare or progression relevant items cannot be scrapped or smelted. So for instance, workstations, vehicles, anvil, beakers, you can't actually scrap them. So you won't accidentally be scrapping your beaker in your inventory when you're actually meant to just bring it with you home. Same with the vehicle and everything. Again, they're too complex, so I think that's fine. Rebalancing on the pipe weapons. Reduce the magazine size of the pipe machine gun. I believe it used to be 17, now it's down to 15. I still think it's way too high. You have to compare that to the pipe pistol, for instance, that has, was it 5 shots? Or the pipe rifle, which has 1 shot. 15 shots is way too much. What I think they should be doing is maybe reduce it to 10 or 12 and double the reload time so that it actually makes sense to have it compared to a normal rifle, but only in some situations. And have a pipe rifle, again, just 1 shot, but a lot faster reload than a pipe machine gun, for instance. But again, they've further been lowering, well, they're changing the durability here of the pipe weapons to make them, I guess, not as good. One problem I was having with my pipe weapons, though, is that I had a pipe machine gun that was quality 3 that was better than an AK-47 of quality 2. which actually makes no sense. An AK-47, even quality 1, should be better than a pipe machine gun at quality 6, but that's not how the balancing works. Now we come to a really controversial, where they have been rebalancing the hit point values of shapes. So poles and smaller size shapes, hit point values have been reduced by 75%. Owie! The plates and similar shaped hit point values have been reduced by 50%. This is going to be super painful for base builders. I don't agree with this change, because they have not changed the amount of resources required to craft these. So let's say you make a pole, it has now 25% of the hit point value of the full block, but it costs 100% of the resources, which makes, again, no sense. There's been a lot of discussion, and there's going to be a lot more discussions. I hope they revert this back to how it was, because it's so building anti-friendly that it's just no fun. Questable commercial strips are too good. Oh, another one that I started realizing. Some of you have been out there, you've been looking for Magnum stuff, and you find no Magnums, you find no Magnum rounds. Now they've brought them down, and I started finding them in my single player world as well, actual solo server world. But anyway, actually finding some Magnum rounds, because it was really weird that you would actually find all this 7.62 really early, but no Magnum rounds. Rework the loot found in casket and coffins. Ooh, I wonder what you're going to find there. You're going to find out. Updated house modern 05. Additional changes to store artifacts. People are actually saying on my server that was updating the current map and things were looking differently. So we're also having some other troubles with the servers, but let's take that separately. Some fixes. The initial parts, I believe all these are the Twitch integration, where they've tweaked them, they've fixed some things, so I'm not going to go through them in specifics, but again, it's good that they keep working on it. I'm sure Lathan is heavily involved with that, so provide your feedback to him, because that's his baby. I mean, not the literal baby, but you know what I mean. Some things which are really weird though is brawling perks and books can be in effect while driving a vehicle, since the player is technically using hands during that. Well, with that in mind, if I'm using a club, I am using my hand. Is my brawling perk in play as well? What if I'm shooting? I am using my hand when I'm shooting as much as I'm using a vehicle when I'm driving. So why does it apply to some things and not others? That's the first thing. The second thing, what does this even mean? What brawling perk? If I kill a zombie, do I get bonus? I don't know. They have been having some issues here. Advanced generation, random world, garbage collection, memory, crashing. A lot of players have come to me on my Discord or on my video saying that I cannot generate a random world. It keeps crashing, and it is an issue. The larger the map is, the more RAM you need to have. For me, I'm running 32 GB on my system. I basically had to reboot my computer and then generate a world, because if I started browsers and stuff like that in the background, I would have a lot more crashes. So try to shut everything down, restart the computer, generate maybe a 6K, then an 8K, and then really only if all that works, try a 10K. But at some point you probably will have crashes because of memory issues. Rain can be seen inside PUIs has been fixed. So now if you're inside the PUI, you don't see the rain. Now this is really good. And of course, well, thank you, Rain, for coming very briefly there. Another thing I noticed with this is that you can actually be considered inside, so you don't see the rain, but you're still getting wet from the rain. I don't know how that works, but there's still some tweaks that need to be done there. Radiated and feral mutant zombies don't have spit attack. Should they have? Which are the feral mutant zombies? I know we have the radiated gas bag zombie that had that spit attack, which I saw was occurring. But feral mutant zombies? I don't know which one this is. If anyone knows what the feral mutant zombie is, which one is that? Of course, I think the radiated is one with that weird pulsating things on the back, which makes sense. So trader protection buffer overlapping into PUIs outside of the tile was happening really weirdly where, and this has been an issue from Alpha 19 as well, where it places other buildings so close that they can't be destroyed. And I think they've been fixing some of that, which is good. Drone mods of the same type stacks, but the cargo mods are allowed to stack. So there was definitely some problem there. I wasn't sure whether It was intended to allow cargo mods to stack, but I guess it's good to have that happen. We are still having a lot of problems with the robotic drone, the flying one. It's really cool, but there's a lot of problems with it where, for instance, it goes into the stutter, where when they log out, it's still in the world and it's just stuttering, saying, trying to speak the audio loop, and it's just basically looping and stuttering the whole time. Or you bring your drone, you lock it, another player tries to access it, and now you are locked out from your own drone until the previous player who touched it actually goes into it. It's really weird. I suspect there's some memory leaks there as well, but it's hard to tell because we're having a lot of problems with them. There's a bunch of other changes here with the random world generation, custom PUIs added. Now they're going to be spawning a random gen, the dogs, etc. Key not found, overlap, blah, blah, blah. These things are going to be there. A third-person arrow, so pink. That's something that I noticed when we play multiplayer. My friends were shooting pink arrows. I mean, it made it easy to see what they were shooting at, so I think that was kind of good. Sort of like a tracer arrow. Really nice. No flame on candle will equip. Maybe that was the thing that they were fixing or adding. Zombie AI gets stuck attacking half a pillar block. Well, another thing that I kept seeing in Alpha 20 experimental was that zombies get stuck behind things all the time. It could be a tree and they refuse to sidestep the tree and come for you. They'll go like, no, I'm going to go through that tree. It might be a pillar. It might be a block. It might be just something jutting out from a building. And they're like, no, instead of going one block to the left or to the right and then attacking the player, they want to go through the block. So there's something that is really going wrong with the pathing in this version, and not just this specific version, but maybe they've been starting to address that because obviously they found one area where they get stuck attacking half block pillar. So maybe that is resolving some of the other issues as well, hopefully, because that looked really weird. Corrupted quests. We were seeing this all over, not just specifically for Restore Power Quest, because here they're mentioning that they're fixed, that the multiple Restore Power quests at the same location cause a corrupted quest. We have seen a lot of quest problems as well in multiplayer, where you and your friends, you get a quest, you share it out, everyone accepts it. Once you get to the PUI, some people lose the quest. Some people don't have it started when it's actually started. And it's really weird. Maybe it's got to do with having multiple quests at the same location, but there's definitely something that is really weird there. So there were a bunch of interesting fixes here and a bunch of really bad changes, such as, for instance, the hit points. Oh, that one is going to be a problem. But let's move on to the latest version, because there was another patch that brought us to 2.3.3. And we see here B232 and B233 changelog added. Coffin casket open and close signs. Ooh, nice. I'm gonna have to check that out. Clamped item stack counts to say, oh, maybe they could break somehow. I mean, I haven't been having this high item count. Maybe you could do it if you were editing the XMLs, maybe. Improve path node penalty clamp and add a log. Maybe that's got to do with the AI pathing still having some issues. This one I did notice though. Updated metal hit metal and metal destroy sounds. I was out mining for some iron. It had a very different sound. It's going to take a little bit to get used to it, but that's fine. Dynamic mesh defaults to land claim only. It was actually defaulting to the whole map, and changing the default to land claim only makes sense. There are still a lot of problems with the dynamic mesh. This is the distant terrain where, let's say you're building out here, and if you have this enabled, you'll actually be able to see the whole build even in distant terrain. It seems to work sometimes, but it also seems to break sometimes and cause a lot of problems. So it's a really good feature. I have turned it off on my multiplayer server because it was causing issues. So your mileage may vary, but it's a really cool feature, and I hope they get that one corrected. Several pipe weapons have random stats, and they shouldn't have any. Oh, they should all be the same. Interesting. I wonder if that... Is that across just the same quality? Let's say you craft a quality 1, it should have all quality 1 pipe pistol have the same stats. But quality 6 also have the same stats as other quality 6 pipe pistol, but different than the quality 1. That's what I'm assuming it's going to be, but maybe they're removing the randomness within that quality tier that you're crafting. Explosions still destroy water and droplet block. We actually had this happen in the previous version. A player came to me and said, hey, I actually have a water block. And I was like, how did this happen? And he said a cop blew up inside the water and the game dropped a water block. And I believe they actually quickly went back to fix this, which means that if you pick this up when this was happening, you probably have one of the few legit water blocks in the game. So well done if you did that, because I believe they fixed that now. Damaging volume enemy from outside a sleeper attack volume did not wake the volume. I think this got to do with if you move so close so that sleepers in a volume, because it's all a volume, all the sleepers within one defined volume, they will spawn in. But if you then move back and you're shooting and killing one, it actually did not wake any there. There was a bug around that, which basically means you could snipe them all from a distance and you would have no risk of waking them up, which doesn't make sense. You know, if you're shooting from outside and you're making enough noise, maybe you should be waking them up anyway. But I still think they have some problems with that, because sometimes you can shoot next to them, sometimes you can kill them, and nothing wakes up. So there's still something that is a little bit dodgy when it comes to sleeper volumes and sleepers in general. Sticky arrows are penetrating too far through zombies. What's a sticky arrow? Are they talking about the one that is when you've hit a zombie with an arrow that it was sticking in too far? You mean it was going through? I don't know. I don't think I've seen this. I guess they fixed it, but I don't think I've seen it. So, there's going to be a lot more changes, and some of these actually are likely to cause problems on servers. Some of them are probably going to be okay on servers. It's something that we're going to have to see how it turns out, but just go ahead, enjoy the game. When there's a new update, install it and see how it goes. At worst, restart the map, remake a map, and just keep on playing. It is experimental. It isn't a completed game. I think we're going to see, let's see, we are now on 18th of December, which means that we might get another update before Christmas, and then I think we're going to be probably after New Year's before we see any other significant changes to the game. And I don't think we'll have stable until probably end of January, maybe even February, because I think there are a lot of big things that are breaking that are not easy to figure out. Memory leaks are huge. We're having zombie AI basically just stop, basically breaking. You can walk around, you can shoot, you can loot, but zombies are not moving, so the AI thread is breaking. And some of these things are not easy to figure out because you need to be able to replicate it so you can figure out where in the code it's breaking, and that can take a lot of time. But that's it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and hit that like button and subscribe and get notified and all that, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, Survivor.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.